Hi Claire, I'm Shelby. Let's go back to my office. Please have a seat wherever is comfortable. May I offer you anything to drink?
No, thank you.
Okay. Did you find the place okay?
Yeah, I did.
Good, I'm glad. So, like I said earlier, my name is Shelby Hodges, and I am the social worker here at the Alpha Center. I have you down as Clara Waters. How would you like me to refer to you as?
Oh, that's fine. Claire's good.
Okay, Claire. Within the next 20 minutes that we have today, I am just here to understand what's going on and get to know you better and understand your situation. Your role is just to be as open and honest as possible. I realize we just met, and that may be a little difficult to share some information with me, but the more open you are, the more willing and easier it will be for me to connect you to resources and help you with what you need. We do have a confidentiality policy here. Anything you say or do will be confidential unless you are harmed yourself or someone else. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Clara, well, tell me what brought you here today.
Well, I'm 6.5 months pregnant, and my family and I kind of see different perspectives on how to handle the, when the child comes or the pregnancy in general. And so we just thought it would be a good idea to talk to you about options.
Okay, so you and your family just have different views on how to handle the baby from this point forward, and just trying to figure out what resources and options are available for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about a little of where you are with your pregnancy. Tell me about your pregnancy.
Well, so I got pregnant by my then boyfriend.
Okay.
We're not together anymore. And it was at, in like the fall over homecoming of senior year. But he's looking at scholarships to go play football, and so he's pretty much set on that track, so we're not together anymore.
Okay, so your, the father of your child is just looking at playing football and kind of decided not to be involved with the child at this point. Tell me a little bit more about him.
Well, he's, like, that's kind of been his goal, and his family's goal is for him to go play college football. And so for him to give that up, that would be a lot, because he sensed a lot of pressure from his family, and I've seen that. And so he just decided to step away from this so that he could go pursue that.
Okay, so football has just kind of been his dream as well as his family's dream. So tell me how that made you feel when he made that decision.
Well, it was kind of frustrating. It felt unfair because we both made that decision together, and then it's not anyone's choice to have a baby. And so it was just frustrating that he got to walk away from it and I don't.
So you were angry by him leaving you in this situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really hard. So, you mentioned just kind of a little bit about how you and your parents have different views on what to do with this. Let's talk a little bit about your parents. Tell me about them.
Well, they're really supportive about keeping the baby and wanting to be involved as much as possible. And so that's nice that they're really supportive of it. They weren't obviously happy about it, but they're there and they're trying to help.
So your parents are there for you throughout this pregnancy and trying to do what's best for you. So, tell me a little bit about the conflict with you two, or with you and your parents, about the baby.
Yeah, well, because Jeremy got to run off and go pursue his dream, it made me realize, well, I had things that I wanted to do too. And so that made me kind of feel like it's not fair for me to be put in this situation. And so I would rather just kind of be able to go on with my life when, okay, it was a mistake, okay, we shouldn't have done it, but why should I have to pay for it for 18 years? Whereas my family sees it very differently and want me to go through with this. Since I made that decision, I need to follow through with the consequences of it.
Consequences?
Yeah, they see it as like, well, you chose to participate in that, and so now you have to deal with what all that includes.
So they feel you just need to deal with just kind of what happened because you made this decision to have the baby or get pregnant, really, or have the baby. And so they just kind of want you to support this baby instead of figuring out what your dreams and what you want to pursue. That would be really hard.
Yeah.
Challenging. So, you mentioned earlier you just wanted to come here to figure out what's the best option for you and for the baby. So tell me what you are thinking about doing.
Well, for me, I don't see any benefit in me being bitter towards the child for me having to miss out on doing what I've wanted to do with my life. And I don't see any benefit in the child growing up in a home where, like, their real mom isn't present, because I think, like, that can bring a lot of, like, stress on a child and a lot of, like, insecurity as they grow up. So I just feel like the best choice is just to walk away from the situation.
Walk away?
Well, to terminate the pregnancy.
So you feel like the best choice for you right now is to have an abortion, just because you feel like you may not be the best mother that you can be for the child with your phase of life right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of girls who come in here just kind of fear that and just kind of don't really know what to do with that at such a young age, and just feeling like they could be somewhere else when they have to support this baby if they have that. So that's totally valid. You feel that way. With that, though, I do have to let you know that in Indiana, you cannot get an abortion. I believe you said you were 6.5 months pregnant? Okay, so with that, in Indiana, you cannot get an abortion if you are past 22 weeks pregnant. So you are 28 weeks pregnant, and so it would be an illegal abortion. I can connect you to other states that let you get an abortion in your 3rd trimester, but in Indiana, I cannot have you do that. So tell me what your thoughts are with that.
Well, knowing that, I feel like going to another state to have an abortion would be too hard on my family to, like, plan all of that, to plan, like, a whole trip to go out and do it. And so I guess, like, that's not really so much an option.
Yeah, that makes sense. It would be very challenging to figure out how to do that. But if you are still considering, like, it still can be considered, I could help you and figure out a way to do that if that's what you feel is the best decision. So there are other options, though. We can talk a little bit about adoption and parenting. So let's talk a little bit about what your thoughts are with adoption. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, kind of what I said earlier, I feel like raising a child who doesn't have their birth mom involved creates a lot of insecurities and, like, emotional instability for the child. And I don't feel like it's fair to put the child at risk of that. And it would also be hard once my life is figured out in 5 or 10 years and have a family of my own to have this child somewhere else and not being able to be a part of it.
So you fear just not being a part of, like, what you could be with the child's life, knowing in the future you might have a family and having to live with the fact that they were with a different family. So there are various options where you could still know the child and the family that the child is going into if you choose adoption. So there's an open adoption, and with that, you can interact with the child and know the family and be a part of the family almost, just wouldn't be the child's parents. And then there's a partial open adoption where you will receive letters, you can receive pictures and be in contact with the family, you just wouldn't be in direct contact with the child. And then there's closed adoption where you would have no contact and kind of like what you were talking about, just not really know where the child is at and know what he or she is doing. So after hearing that, tell me what your thoughts are with those options.
Well, I don't think that a closed adoption is something that I would really be open to, just for the well-being of everyone involved. And I don't know if I really like the idea of the other options, just because, well, if the child is involved or I see the child, I just feel like it would bring upon a lot of hardships knowing my life is figured out and they can't be a part of it now, when if they had been born a few years later, they could have been. So I think that's just a hard thing to process and consider.
Yeah, I think it's great that you are just going through these options and just considering the effects that you would have if you choose adoption, as well as what the child would have. It just takes a lot of strength to figure all that out. So that's really great. So we've talked about your thoughts with abortion, and we've talked about your thoughts with adoption. So let's talk a little bit about parenting. Tell me what your thoughts are with that.
Well, I want to go to nursing school, and so I feel like parenting would be really difficult because it's so demanding. The schooling is demanding and the parenting is so demanding, especially when the child's at a young age. And my family's really supportive, but that doesn't mean that resources are unlimited. And so I wouldn't want to put all that pressure on them to pay for a ton of stuff, which means I have to work, which means someone would have to watch the kid. I don't want to have to put that burden on people. And I don't know if they support me now, how long would that last? Would that last 6 months? Would that last 2 years? Would that last 5 years? It's a huge commitment of 18 years based off of not knowing if someone else is going to commit that long.
So you have a lot of fears with just not knowing how long your family will commit in supporting you throughout your schooling, as well as supporting your child if you choose to parent. Yeah, those are a lot of things to consider and very scary to think about when you look into the future. So you mentioned a little bit just about your family's resources not being exhaustive. So with that, there are scholarships for schools. Because you talked about going to nursing school, that some schools will offer scholarships specifically for teen moms, and that will help your families not have to put all of their money towards your schooling. As far as their timely resources, there's also daycare that colleges offer that's free, and so your parents wouldn't always have to watch the child while you're in class, so they could attend daycare while you're in and out of class. And then when we go back to talking about financial resources, there's a couple of programs that can assist you with financial resources, as well as just diapers or basic necessities for the child. And then there's also the father of your child would have to pay child support if you choose to raise this child, which will help just with money to provide and give the child what they deserve. So I realized that was kind of a lot of information just kind of thrown at you, but there is a lot available for you to go to college and to raise this child and to support you throughout all of this. So tell me what your thoughts are with that.
Well, it's good to know that there are more resources out there to help me than what I can think of on my own. And that I don't have to put it all on my family. Mm-hmm. But it also, like, I've never been a fan of daycares because children get sick, which means you have to take more time out of your day and have to go to the doctor and pay for that. And so that's something to consider. And I don't know if I really want the father of the child to pay child support just because he doesn't have a job. He won't have a job. And that's just another burden to him. So it's good to know that that's an option if I need that to be an option. So it's definitely a lot to consider and something to think seriously about.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot that you have to consider to see what's best for you to manage, as well as your family, as well as the father of the child, if you choose to parent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our time here is almost up, and we have talked a lot about abortion and adoption and parenting as just options for you. So tell me overall what you're thinking after this conversation.
Well, I don't think at this point, like, an abortion is really a big option, just because there's so much more that goes into that. And my whole family is really, really, really against it. And so I think adoption and parenting are obviously my two last choices. And so I think it's just something that I have to talk with my family about. I like the idea of adoption, but maybe if I look more into the resources, it would be a better case to parent.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to consider, and it's just, again, so great that you are thinking about everything as far as the effects for you, your family, father of the child, the baby, everything. So I think that says a lot about you, and it's really awesome that you're considering all of these things. So throughout this interview, we have just talked about the father of the child and your parents and just the support that is available for you. Mm-hmm. And just went through and processed the different resources that could be provided for you in your future. So overall, you just kind of mentioned that abortion just probably wasn't the best case, and mm-hmm. So just as you go home, you mentioned talking a little bit to your parents about adoption and parenting, and so we can grab some pamphlets on the way out, and you can go and talk to them, and then next week we can meet and kind of weigh the pros and cons with those resources.
Okay, that sounds good.
And thank you so much for coming in and opening and sharing with me about the father of the child and your parents and just everything that's going on with your pregnancy. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for talking.
Yeah. Do you have anything fun planned this afternoon?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, have a great day.
Thanks, you too.